One of Muay Thai's biggest stars is the insane power kicker Tawanchai, who many subs may recognize from my breakdown video where I cover his bone-breaking kicks. But Tawanchai's next opponent is one who he has a history with, a fighter who gave him more than he ever bargained for. By all accounts, Smokin Jo Nattawut was an underdog going into his fight with Tawanchai. Although he'd held belts in various organizations, he had nowhere near the accumens of Tawanchai and had just suffered 2 losses. One via knockout to the merciless switch hitter Allazov. He was also coming into the bout on short notice, but in part due to great strategy and in part due to the natural clash of their styles, Jo put on a terrific, entertaining performance, giving Tawanchai one of his toughest fights ever. The fight was so good and so competitive that now they're looking to settle the score. I wanted to share my thoughts on this particular fight because it provides an interesting lesson on exactly how to stand up to a power striker like Tawanchai. And also, it's just really fun. The first point about what Jo did right is absolutely crucial to understand. He stayed put and fired back immediately after Tawanchai threw.
From Smokin Jo to land a leg kick.
This sounds simple, but many of Tawanchai's opponents go wrong by committing entirely to defense for every strike, hoping they could find their moment when it's their turn to attack. After all, they figure, he hits too hard, so don't risk getting knocked out, don't risk getting your arm broken, wait your turn. All this does in the end is give Tawanchai more chances to connect, smashing his shin into their blocking limbs with no consequences, until he gets through, or the limb gives out. In contrast, Jo made Tawanchai pay a price for his aggression by paying him back 1 for 1. If you know you're going to take damage no matter what, there's little reason to avoid the risk. If your goal is to actually win the fight, and you're going to get hit anyways, then throw back. Here Jo uses a risky tactic, pulling just an inch out of range of a fight-ending kick. The miss off-balances Tawanchai, and Jo takes advantage. Notice here how Jo's already moving to his left as Tawanchai begins his kick, both helping to absorb the impact of the blow and creating the perfect angle for a counter leg kick. Here Tawanchai taps forward to feint a kick, trapping Jo in place by enticing him to check. But Jo stays calm and cover blocks Tawanchai's cross, feigns like he's gonna casually put down his leg, but then explodes into a hard counter. Tawanchai looked for payback right away, but Jo turned an elbow block to absorb his hook, slipped under his cross, strafed right to change angles, then smashed the left hook into Tawanchai's face.
The adjustment to a 3-round match here rather than taking that first round and coasting out.
I had a viewer recently point out that being too cautious can be dangerous in itself, and I found that's entirely true in fights and in life. The second thing that Jo did right was to extend the length of the exchanges. Tawanchai and many other power strikers are all about control. They want to set up their best moves from their preferred distance, staying lined up and balanced so they can fully commit. Then they want to get right back to safety. But Jo didn't let that happen. He kept going, throwing until Tawanchai was pushed out of his comfort zone. He was saying, "You don't say when it's over, I say when it's over." Here Tawanchai chains the rear teep into a lead hook. But the exchange went wrong pretty much immediately, Jo's glove coincidentally swiping his nose as he threw a leg kick. Jo followed up with a right hook, but Tawanchai seemed to be looking at his left hand and was taken entirely by surprise. Jo swarmed him, shifting forward with wide hooks. He took a partial body shot, but his follow-up left hook paid him back with interest. Tawanchai moved off angle, but Jo just jabbed at him from southpaw. His reward for his persistence was connecting with a tremendous right that swung Tawanchai's head clear around. As the fight went on, Jo's lateral movement and unpredictable punches became a major problem. However, like any elite knockout artist, Tawanchai has ways to punish opponents who try these tactics against him. Against those who try to stay put and counter his kick, he can evade even while on one leg and counter with a punch during the retraction of his kick. Here Tawanchai feints a kick to get Jo to react. When he checks, Tawanchai switch steps and frames against his guard, setting up a body kick. But when Joe drops his guard to counter kick, as per usual, Tawanchai slams the cross into his face, powered by the retraction of his kick, in a similar principle to a Superman punch. Even Joe had to give a nod of acknowledgement. But even this tactic wasn't consistent. Here Joe pulls Tawanchai's pendulum cross, as he counters with a hard leg kick. Tawanchai also threw longer combinations as the fight went on, tightening up his strikes to focus on volume over loaded power blows. Once again, if something unpleasant is going to happen anyways, you want to be the one to control it. If long exchanges were going to happen, then Tawanchai wanted to be the one ending them. But the two were so talented, sometimes no one would connect at all. After Joe's initial leg kick, there's a block, a check, a duck, a slip and counter, a slip against the counter, cross long block, a body block, and on and on and on. At other times, both men were taking damage.
He loves this stuff. What a kick by Tawanchai. One is not taking a step back.
The bout had turned into a dogfight.
Fight between Tawanchai.
Yet both of these warriors seemed to be enjoying themselves. Both men throwing bombs until the last second of electrifying action.
Downstairs before he came upstairs to the head.
In a bit of a controversy, Tawanchai took the win. But after Joe won a tremendous back and forth war against Luke Leslie, he more than earned his rematch. It'll be fascinating to see how each man adjusts. Usually in these cases, the dominant champion who was taken by surprise comes back with the holes in their game patched up. However, Joe is truly a wild card. I'm looking forward to a very entertaining fight. You can watch their sure to be epic rematch on June 7th on Amazon Prime. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.